a contributor, but then I don't. So I do know how to use it. I have to do more contributions to that one. The contribution requirement is high.
Post kinds?
That one's fine.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Semantic link tags.
Contributor, but
Did somebody say something fun?
no, probably a chat.
I just saw, we were trying to debug this audio, and it turned out he was watching the last live stream. I'm sitting over here like, can you hear us? What about now? We tried a
I
different
wasn't
thing.
actually watching, so you didn't notice I was not actually watching the right thing.
That is the
You should have
best.
edited that.
This is how bad this material was old.
Exactly. Our sound was very bad back in.
But the Indie on the summit works, but there's a long list of things that the creator wanted to do with it that hasn't happened yet. Namely, it's basically just a wrapper to allow you to log in using a service maintained by the gentleman in the corner here, as opposed to what the intent is.
Yeah, I mean, I just added it a couple of days ago.
And it allows you to log into your site using the auth service.
Oh, that's cool.
Have you renamed that thing yet?
It's still in progress.
Oh, you have one of those? The Jeffrey.
Yeah, we're trying to get that to work.
That's the Bluetooth one?
Mhm.
I just have the USB one.
I think I'm still paired with it, but yeah, it wasn't showing any activity or
One
whatever.
really cheap one of those.
Power strip.
Anchor.
Oh, did they make one now?
Well, no, Anchor, I ordered one. There was an Anchor sale on Wednesday or Thursday. And one of the things they had was a coupon that reduced their equivalent of that for 12 months.
Oh my god.
And basically, it's a Bluetooth speaker for conferencing. And they said that there's a way to hook it up to a USB. So I said, for $12.
You have a moment?
And
Yeah.
since I'm away from home,
There's another,
I had it delivered to my mother in Florida.
there's another like, meetup thing going on.
Uh-huh.
It's called Flow World Demo Day.
Oh,
It's basically like little kids
that's
showing off like building HTML.
Oh my god, that's like,
And I'm like, is it do it for kids?
oh my god, that's amazing.
The other kid that's up there right now, I like, it's gonna talk about like how to make a button.
That's
Like, first,
adorable.
type the pointy bracket.
All right, just put it to go 75. Right now it's 7. I'll come back.
Like 7 another pointy bracket, and then inside.
That's the best. That's very good.
Pointy bracket? That's what kids call angle brackets.
Less than.
I thought Austin didn't have mosquitoes.
Did you just kill a mosquito?
I tried.
Indoors?
Missed it. It's down here somewhere. So be on the lookout.
Do you want the link to it?
Aaron, do they have any other,
I will post it.
do they have a special holiday flavor, which is the peppermint?
Yeah, it's the peppermint chocolate.
Oh.
It's the walkie portable Bluetooth speaker with powerful stereo sound and built-in link for iPhone, iPad, Samsung, Lexus, HTC, laptops, and more. Streaming music wirelessly or plug-in with included micro USB to 3.5 millimeter cable.
Nice.
So it might be the great, but I think it's 12 bucks is the pack. Indie chat, IndieWebCamp.
You know what's
I should make sure that that's permanent, that my security is permanently logged on. Okay. More about WordPress
Just for me to listen to this, so
yeah.
get some feedback.
That would be wonderful. If somebody local could check if we have stuff.
Started looking at different steps, documentation. There's public copy. You can even connect ancient non-Bluetooth devices.
You hear this nice squeak of the fan.
That means it's working.
At least you might be able to get this long.
Yeah, it's about like 25 feet. That's pretty good.
You want to bring it up?
HDMI to DisplayPort adapter.
Why does that always happen?
Is that
I have
right?
a mini HDMI to HDMI adapter.
Oh, yeah?
Is that DisplayPort or is that HDMI?
Then I'm
Same
gonna
thing.
stop.
I have
I
HDMI.
don't know, it's like headphones, I can actually hear what you're saying.
Oh, nice.
If you told me, I would have brought.
I don't, if you can hear pretty good, then I'm gonna stop listening to it.
I never.
Um,
I'm not gonna bother with
There's
it.
definitely a speed from the fan,
Yeah.
but like, you can hear voices actually pretty well.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll move it up there. We'll do presentations.
Yeah.
That we can actually move the boundary mic around depending on how people move around.
I think I have that one too.
Oh, I love this thing. It's so good.
It has the 4 XLRs and it can also be the interface in addition to just recording.
Yeah, that's what I was about to set up. Like, if this really wasn't working, then I brought real mics, so we can just have people stand up there and hold them.
They might not, I mean,
They probably do. I mean, other river do essentially.
Who's the other dog that you got here from today?
If you have any questions, it's all.
Okay.
I'll be here till Monday. Most of it in this room.
I'm just here today.
there we go.
Happy.
Do you want to?
You can propose a set. You don't need to know enough at the point of sessions. It's basically, what do you want to talk about? So if enough people want to talk about the same thing, we talk about it. Enough being 2 in this case, I imagine.
I will attend the WordPress.
Sorry if you already said this, Aaron, but which donuts did you bring?
Aaron, we're so great. We're doing sessions.
Yeah,
these two run
John
awesome.
has one.
Awesome.
WordPress session. Okay, yeah, there will be a WordPress session.
I just, I forget what I believe the last one was called WordPress Shrug.
Oh, this.
Shrug is a stage direction.
That's accurate.
So I'm not picking a name for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
The word shrug,
Not shrug.
no, literal, not.
I think that's so much. It's so
So actually, since we can use the glass. Like behind us,
Oh, it's just got that one. So I'm looking at the Rudy guy. Okay. Nice. Yeah, it was really pleasant experience. Just lots of moving parts. But once, I just slowly took those pieces separately, and once you get them all together, it's like, wow, this is okay. Just because I wanted to. Oh, sure, this way. Yeah. There's two floors like right here. There we go, and just for like a letter, so. Yeah. They've been taking, we'll start with take attention. It says, your activity, like, discussing it.
The only thing I will say is, it seems it's really hard to get along. I'm guessing you went outside of downtown to get the help.
Oh, yeah, I saw the grocery store line.
Yes, but apparently the walking distance is making, how to find a place that will sell you built or, oh no, sweet. Another mile down the road.
All these a little bit long. Yeah.
Then
We
talked about going over there. They were definitely. Yeah, I know.
With Senate enforcement, which I know I realized for a while, like, knowing the fact that it's cool. And so I learned how to, and it's really important for general experience.
Yeah, so I asked you about that.
I think it's post or make it drive or I think it's Google, which is a fun truck line. I know they have and it's not really looked at. Okay, that needs to be close. Oh, yeah.
Maybe the shortest throw projector I've ever seen.
Blacked out.
But it's got some bad optics on it, if you want to look at it.
Yeah.
To make that happen.
Some fancy mirrors and Fresnel lensing or something.
No, just like crazy curves.
Oh, yeah.
Like both like on the outside and on the back too.
Yeah.
And then this looks like perfectly straight, right? Like somehow they like did the math.
Wow. That's really cool.
Check out
That
the
is
curves
super
that they
sharp
got going on
curve.
there.
Yeah, they got some really short optics. That's neat. Wow. Well, I guess it's really, it's just the one lens and then the reflective surface. It's one of those things that I stared directly at it and didn't notice until I saw it. I was like looking at it.
And the mirror is curved too.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's really cool.
I actually posted on dental pod.
That makes me realize that I could put a projector anywhere if I don't think my room is big enough.
Very simple time, so I don't have to worry about,
Especially if projectors.
I
I mean, they're gonna get to the point where you literally just like put something like underneath.
Yeah, that's true. Be close to it. What is that? Like 3 feet? Maybe not even. Well, that's probably 3 to 4. Yeah.
It's about 2.5 feet, yeah.
So, that's your.
I got that.
I guess I need more of this, so I need over all this. Really useful.
Oh,
There's a power supply. It's now. Oh, I was just wondering, I thought that's all I needed.
Oh, yeah, no, there's two. Right, we might actually.
Right.
All right.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's, yeah, they still, yeah, that's not.
So the whole thing from outside.
No, it's not, right, yeah, it's just like, I've got a bunch of files. Right.
Yeah, that's like.
Yeah. Oh, that sauce is good.
nice.
Okay, so I need. Sorry. Yeah, everything that we discussed is free. So then it has a power.
Yeah. We have a standard. I guess you want to look at this heading. Yeah.
Oh, it's not complicated, yeah, it's not.
So we're ready for labels.
Yeah.
And then the next one should be for workflow or.
Yes.
Express how easy it is to be a picture. And the reason I'm using it is I would use given pages, but given pages doesn't support necessarily this domain. And that part
Yeah.
It's like a one minute. Yeah.
Okay, so.
Right.
Yeah. You think I could do it from here's a post, or like, here's a book.
Yes. Yes. That's not the previous,
Rather than expect.
I learned a lot of time.
Here's the website.
Looks like I was
And you can say, well, how did this plan get here? Well, look at that. And it was posted. Well, that's not changed.
Good. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think good too. It's not just how to score against, which is.
Yeah, well, that's good.
It's one of the two that we're gonna follow.
It was a lot of fun.
See how it Oh, yeah. Right.
Yeah, I worked, with Microsoft, I remember. Everybody, well, it seemed like most everybody played soccer when after work and out of the world, was everybody did, the crazy soccer games, yeah. All that stuff. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I was surprised by the soccer.
I don't think that.
Dude.
Hey, wait.
Oh,
It's like, could be all good to go over there and see if there's another.
Oh, hold on.
Second one. No, that's not.
Okay, that's,
Yeah, like anchor that one, so I'm actually happy with that one. Yeah, there you go. That's that one.
Yeah, I hear it on.
Been to the top pepper.
This also.
Nice. Oh, wait, that was several minutes ago. That's still getting me. Still working. Wow. Still working.
The last slide is in the corner, is that right?
Yep. We just starting with the 10. Legit.
Oh. There's a,
That's a office speak right share.
So I used it in the airport.
really?
Yeah.
Is that on the?
I think it was, yeah. He was 19, yeah. When I was 22. It might be actually about the same.
It wasn't shared or something.
So, they didn't have a line.
I didn't know you didn't have to put it up. The pigs, yeah.
That's not.
Yeah. And the fun guy, first he said, the ride is here, and it was like around the corner down the block. And it's like, a minute, right? And he's just sitting there. You're not even here. So it gets like 35 seconds, and it's like, your ride was canceled.
Oh my God.
Wow. Like I already waited for this bike to come right now. I have to like call. Like I called again for the lift line, and then it was going to be too late. I'm like, okay, that's not good. So then I had to call again for the home. Yeah, but it's a little. It did it immediately. So, I think they have some like if you cancel within 30 seconds or it's like maybe stuff. As opposed to you didn't like what was going on. And then I had to call like a direct like 2 places. Wow. Apple Watch is in.
Oh. That's wild.
Right? I'm like, oh no, like, are they gonna screw it up? Or are they gonna roll it into like? I screwed up with that.
I mean, yeah, that's the most obvious thing they can do, right? Is kill the app and make it part of the iOS experience in some way. Maybe even just part of the music store.
Exactly. So you can only buy it through iTunes.
Oh, wow. I wonder if they're interested in the newer stuff that Shazam has been doing.
So I'm gonna update the app before it gets.
Update, and then, yeah, good. The latest now still belongs to Shazam.
We're waiting to set up to project actually, which is very bad. That's kind of fun. Yeah.
I have USB-C, but I didn't bring the DisplayPort. So it's something like that.
You have HDMI there?
I have USB-C, but I don't have a DisplayPort.
I don't know.
Yeah, I've got VGA, but I did see it at VGA. Also, I'll bring that for you.
Cool.
Soon.
Seems like people on their phone screen are unhappy. Or at least they can tell us.
We checked the audio and it was working.
Okay.
Because Jeremy Turner said it wasn't working, but it turned out he was watching the live stream from the sun. Which, you know, fair enough. There's no title on this. Just do my notes. It's like closed by so at website title. Like, that's the title. The algorithm is different. Oh, yeah. Just still an opportunity. Plug and unplug things on this computer all day.
Yeah, the biggest time it works is the, let's see. I'll show you. What's that?
Yeah, fine. Okay.
Lightning,
Uh,
lightning thunderbolt.
Yeah, go grab it.
Thank you.
Thanks. So what was kind of our? Oh, funny. 2 months ago. Yes, it was writing for the Linux journal, which is now closed down.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been really close to that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah. I think November is the last issue.
What's that?
And then it worked out.
I would use the waffles from the right. Yeah, that was shit.
I think he just like invites people to write for Linux journal. He's not sure that there's articles for it. But yeah, for it's still good. But, yeah, that's why I'm interested in WordPress. So I want talking to people that want to learn about WordPress. And I know my game. Well, I agree. I just do this.
Something like that.
I'll do it.
All right.
Perfect.
Yeah, thanks.
So I guess you don't get the message delivered unless you say so.
No. What? No, because it's basically looking for. Oh, okay. So my server on this one goes down always. If I'm not there, it's going to. Okay. If you want further details, I'll on that. Okay. I'll just talk. Usually it is a safe bet if something is built. Okay. Not always.
Is that not going to be is there a projector remote somewhere?
I can do AirPlay too if this doesn't.
Hopefully it's on the. This should be a.
Oh, there we go.
Aha. Maybe maybe Mac. What's Mac do? Oh, that's Apple TV. They have a Chromecast set up. Somewhere. That's yeah.
It's just
It must be off. Try to shut down signals.
Trying, right?
sorry about that. I don't know why I didn't think we got there early to test it. I don't know why I didn't think I actually plug it in.
The thing that we always have trouble with, right? It's a classic computer science problem.
Yeah. So many pieces involved in this one too. There's a Chromecast sitting there somewhere.
There is?
Yeah.
Really?
What?
I don't know. It's connected to the HDMI button.
Might be on the projector itself.
What if you hit? Yeah.
Is it still think it's shutting
I
down?
think, unfortunately, I think it just takes a long time to shut down.
Oh no!
I thought I would turn it off and turn it back on. But
Oh
it was a
no!
mistake.
And you tried all the different inputs?
Yeah.
There.
That's good.
It's interesting that the display there can give you the status of the
Mhm.
and it's turning on and off. Like, what kind of connection did that involve?
Yeah.
Besides, like, a hardwired, like, fiber optic, which is not what's going on. We're not even seeing
thing back there.
We're not even. Okay, so now what does Mac do? Let's find out.
I think that's the Apple TV.
Mac is the Apple TV.
HDMI,
HDMI is a Chromecast.
and then aux.
It must be Max.
Yeah.
Process elimination.
I tried it before, but it didn't switch it.
You might need to do a
You're
detect
right.
on here.
Yeah. Well, that's
So first, the display needs to turn on. Lamp hours over life. Yeah, classic.
thanks for that.
Status message: searching for source. Reconnect me. Chrome Blast can't find the Dave Bush Wi-Fi network.
Try hitting.
Oh, so
switch
aux
inputs
is,
again.
yeah, HDMI. Do HDMI now?
It switched to HDMI. Try everything else again. Oh, come on.
Possible because cable is bad.
I mean, it is possible, but it feels like, you know, people in the industry all the time, it feels like it should work. I mean, I could try. I could do AirPlay, we could do demos from my machine.
There are only 2 things plugged in there, so I'm
But
not
they're
actually
giving the
sure that's.
Chromecast is not like happy.
Oh, you don't think this is actually?
I don't think it's actually plugged in, because there's only 2 video things plugged in. Do you see the AirPlay? Good. Okay, at least we have that.
What's this?
This is
the
the
Apple
Apple TV AirPlay.
There's an Apple TV.
Unless they have that cage.
Works.
Well,
Well, I guess we're gonna do that.
for now. Got all sorts of stuff on that. Who knows what's on my laptop?
Do you want to use my like a separate account?
Oh, it's okay. Let's do that for now, and then
Instead of make sure.
Or sorry, we should.
Yeah, make sure.
good. All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to it's the first IndieWebCamp in Austin. I'm really excited to get things started and build up the IndieWeb community here in town. So thanks everyone for coming. We're going to get started. We pushed the schedule a little bit. We're starting around 10. I'm going to do this quick intro. Then we're going to get demos. People can come up and say who you are, talk about your site, show your site off just for a couple minutes, and we'll go around the room doing that. And then we'll get into the building blocks and planning for the sessions in the day. So real quick shout out to our sponsors. DreamHost was awesome, stepping up to help us with the venue and the space. Also Polycod Associates, Super Barnet, and Micro.blog, getting us the drinks, breakfast tacos, and everything else that we put the event on. So thanks so much. So my name is Manton Reese. I don't know if I said that at the beginning. My website is manton.org, and it's running on WordPress right now. And I also have a company and platform called Micro.blog, and that's really, I've always been interested in the IndieWeb, but specifically with Micro.blog, I've really been trying to get more active in IndieWeb because there's so much overlap in the things that I want to do with Micro.blog and encourage people to have their own blogs and think about posting to their own website and the stuff that the IndieWeb wants to do. So I'm on WordPress right now. At some point, I'll move over to Micro.blog hosting, except that turns out to be a little bit of a process because I've had Manton.org. I've been blogging for over 15 years there, and it's accumulated a lot of stuff, a lot of like files and just random things over the years. And so actually moving blogging platforms is more difficult than I would like it to be. But that's my site, and haven't done a lot on it in the last couple years, but trying to just make small improvements to it as I can. So that's me. If we want, we can start out and open it up to other folks that want to come up and show off their site, and then we can kind of get started through the day. Go ahead, sure.
Hi everyone, I'm Tom Techchalik. My site is tomtech.com. And here, let's go ahead and zoom that. How's that? I've been posting at least notes on my own site since 2010, exclusively, as in on my own site first and then only to Twitter. So I haven't actually posted any original content to Twitter since 2009. And that was one of my goals to like switch completely over to using my own site. But since then, I've been posting anything from pictures to events, to RSVPs. So like this one is this is my simple looking indie RSVP to the event we're at now, saying, yeah, I'm going to the IndieWeb, this one here. And if you click through to the IndieWeb event, you can see that my RSVP went through. So that's cool. And you can click on the permalink and it should take you right back there. There we go. I have way too many things that I want to try and get done, and I've been just publicly documenting them, and it's sort of a accountability / shame kind of thing on the IndieWeb Wiki. And so I don't know which of these I'm going to try and work on today, but there's a lot of things here, like maybe just improve my RSVPs, maybe display likes like as a face pile. Of course, I want to display comments and stuff. Something I got working recently is a payment page that'll show off. This is probably the most recent thing I got working, where you like go out to dinner with friends and like, do you use Venmo? Do you use PayPal? How do you like pay each other kind of thing? I was like, just go to tomtic.com/pay, and then you can pay me back. And this works on mobile and all that. It seems like a simple, silly thing, but it solves that problem of, oh, what's your username on that system? And search and typing and all that. No, just go to tomtic.com/pay, tap the button, and then you can make it work. And then I did the opposite as well, which again, / request, which I don't know how to do that for PayPal. It's just Venmo. But again, it's a simple, small thing. So I think that there's a lot we can figure out using our own websites for anything from like traditional blogs or posts or replacement for Twitter to things like a payment page. So I'm really interested to hear from folks about new and creative ways to use your website instead of some other company's random app or whatever else is out there.
Hello, my name is Marty McGuire. My website is Marty McGuire with a dot in the right place. Similar to Tontech, I try to post everything on my own site first. I'm not quite as disciplined, but I do have quite a few things working that I'm pretty happy with. Like I have check-ins coming to my site from Swarm, thanks to Aaron's Own Your Swarm service. I host events on my site as well as duck faces. One thing that I do for the community is I create a weekly podcast called This Week in the IndieWeb Audio Edition. And I actually post that to my website first. And I do that using an IndieWeb building block called MicroPub and a tool that I wrote that is extremely simple. It just lets you post audio to your website. So one thing that I'm working on now is actually trying to make some tools that make it easier to post to my site, which is it's built with a static site generator. And one of the great things about that is that like it's a super simple design. It's easy to reason about, and when it's published, but it makes it very difficult to create dynamic sorts of things like posting from your phone. So I'm working to create some tools that make it easier for me and hopefully other folks to use MicroPub to manage their static sites.
Hi, I'm Aaron Karecki, and my website is aaronpk.com. I post all sorts of stuff to my website. Like Tontech, I've been posting to my website and not to Twitter for years now. And I make a point of not running any new content on these external platforms if I can help it. I have check-ins on my website as well. It's a lot of fun. The last thing that I changed on my website was actually way down at the bottom. I have all these little icons showing where my other profiles are. And they used to be individual images, like favicons for each one. And I changed it to use an icon font. So now they are all more visually consistent. And also it is just one file to download instead of like 20.
Why are there two Twitters?
Because I have two Twitter accounts. And yeah, so that's neat. There's I also use I also build a lot of tools for helping other people post their websites and move content around. So check-ins are from Marty mentioned called Own Your Swarm, where you actually post on Foursquare and then it copies it over to your website. I do the same thing for Instagram called Own Your Gram. So I can post a photo on Instagram because I actually like using the Instagram app. It's pretty well done. And that way the photos then get posted over to my site from Instagram. And yeah, a couple others. Quill for posting notes. Like I don't actually write by posting on my website. I write in a separate app which has a nice mobile interface called Quill, and that posts it to my website. So we'll do a more thorough intro to some of those later, but yeah, that's me.
Who's got to go next to them?
Let's see. Well, tiny print. I'm John Lipkowski. This is my site. I first heard about IndieWeb when Tante gave a talk about it, Personal Democracy Forum in 2014, I think it was.
Yep.
And also another friend of mine, Amber Case, I think was involved in early IndieWebCamp. But I didn't really get serious about it or start doing work with it other than saying we should have an IndieWebCamp in Austin. So there's not a lot to show on my site. I do have, Tom and I were trying to RSVP the other day and I did some experimentation. And one thing I did add that's actually outward facing is this down here, an H card. And that's about the best I've done. I have quite a few plugins loaded that I haven't completely figured out yet, but they're activated. I just made sure I downloaded all of David's plugins. So I'm sort of a novice here, and I'm actually not, I don't actually write code as a normal thing. So I'm kind of brute forcing my way into this. So thanks.
Probably me. So, gotta take some credit. That's probably one of the capabilities. David, go for it. This one's done with it. If I go for it, somebody's going to have to narrate.
Yep. That's what I can narrate.
I didn't really think that far.
Yeah.
I don't want notifications.
I'm going to need an adapter cable.
Actually, you need to do the airplay. This one.
No, we're just gonna use my computer, if that's okay, David.
What?
We don't have HDMI plug-in.
Oh,
We don't have a
HDMI.
plug-in. Yeah, so you can just use the computer.
Okay, I'll do what I can. Yeah, I'll go with that cable just for this purpose.
I know.
We'll try to fix it after the demos
Okay.
later.
My name is David Shansky. I was apparently mentioned in a previous introduction. So my site is this one, david.shansky.com. One of these days I'll actually do something with shansky.com. By the way,
Link to David.
what? No, shansky.com is an exclusive domain for people named Shansky. Free email addresses and subdomains are available for anybody with that last name. So far, no takers. Well, some email here.
I hear the
No
guy
web.
runs it works really hard.
No web takers. Oh, you met my brother? I'm kidding. Anyway, according to this, I checked into Micro Center. I don't remember doing that. But anyway, good to know. Must have hit the button by accident. So this is a WordPress site. I do a lot of WordPress development, both for myself and for the community. So you can see some things here that I've created. For example, my recent multi-day odyssey to make sure that I had the right swarm icon turned into icon. So this is the site as it exists today. I also keep a test site where I do new things. But as you can see, I am using many of Aaron's tools. So this is Own Your Swarm. Down here we have Own Your Gram, which I was partially doing to make sure they worked properly because people kept telling me they didn't. Again, with WordPress, not specifically in general. Here is my RSVP, which is on the site for this event. So the format for most of my types of posts happens to be a header, icon, possibly a summary, and then some sort of small content at the bottom. So there's me and the bagel. Now, that one was classified as a note, which is why you don't realize that I'm at a bagel joint when I did that, but I have to fix that one these days. So there we are. I heard a few people here wanted to talk about WordPress. If you do, I always pop up when somebody says that word. So that should cover most things. And hopefully this weekend I will subordinate anything that I might have thought of doing, which I could always do on my own, to anybody who wants some help trying to get WordPress stuff set up. Otherwise, I have a list of projects at least as long as the entire front row, if not as long as the entire room. So we'll see what I get to. If not, I'll go back to the room afterwards and back to icons, 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 which seems to be my theme of the week, so to speak. And that's me for today. Whoever's next, enjoy.
Where do you go? Okay.
Hi, I'm Tom Brown. My site's here's tomwithweather.com. I'm one of those people who's interested in WordPress today because although I run Jekyll on my site, IndieWeb site, the people I know have WordPress sites, and so I've found myself not very well helping them configure the WordPress. And the latest thing that I've done was at IndieWebCamp or IndieWeb Summit, I learned how to do micropub with Jekyll, and so I documented that. How do you do that? And I'm using Jekyll IndieWeb project from Michael Bishop, and I've had a fantastic time with that. So I recommend that if you're into Jekyll, and hoping to learn about WordPress this weekend. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Johannes. I'm from Germany. I'm a German journalist based here in Austin. I'm not a developer, so I do a bit of front-end developing. But well, I'm just a journalist and blogger, and I'm here. I have a couple of blogs like this, and I've been doing this for 10 years. And I'm interested in general the infrastructure for online publishing and bringing more voices into the fray, like I guess everybody is here, and connecting people beyond the platform. So that's like the things I would like to talk about more on a conceptual or practical level.
Hi, I'm Chris Grayson. I'm very new to the internet, apparently. Oh yeah, this is it. New to IndieWeb stuff, mostly since I heard about micro.blog from Manton's Kickstarter and used that a little bit. So I've just started to dip my toes into posting here first, and then it gets micro.blog posted over to Twitter and Facebook. But I also work on this project that's a simple WordPress network for indivisible sites, provides free WordPress hosting for them. Just trying to give some of my basic rudimentary WordPress admin abilities, knowing how to install MySQL and WordPress and that kind of crap, to give some help to people that just want to have a website. So what I'm interested in maybe working on or finding out more about is how to get the folks that are doing that kind of stuff not relying on the silos as much. Because all the events, all the protests, all the rallies, all the events, they're all Facebook events. And you can't get that data out with a crowbar. And if there are better ways to do that I could help people do in an easy way, that's the kind of thing I'm looking for.
I'm Randy DeWeird, and I don't have a website right now. I just heard about the IndieWeb this week. I have a domain. I was telling Chris I've had a domain for 20 years that I use for email, but I've never really built a website, and everything's siloed. So I want to find out more about. I've had an interest lately in static sites, so I want to find out more about that. And how
What's your domain?
DeWeird.org.
Sorry, how do you spell it?
DEWEERD. And so I want to start building something with a static site and pull things together there, learn about that.
Good morning, my name's Althea. Similarly, I don't have a website to show up. I've dabbled a little bit here and there in WordPress, and I have a micro.blog account. And I just learned about IndieWeb as a concept and an ethos, and I want to participate a little bit, so I'm here to learn.
So my name is Noah Reed, and my website is noahreed.net. And I've been trying to post to my website first and syndicating out to other services for a few years now. Things like just, typical microblogging type stuff that gets syndicated out to Facebook, Twitter, micro.blog, things like that. I also do a fair amount of blogging on the website. So that's me.
Hi, my name is Sunil. I also have nothing to show you all. I'm here to learn.
Well,
Thanks. Try this.
We just catch up.
Yeah.
Nice. So speaking of learning.
Yeah, so, welcome everybody. We are going to have a quick session before the rest of the day, but the plan for the rest of the day and the weekend is today will be discussion sessions where we'll make the schedule grid in about an hour, and it'll be topics that anybody here wants to talk about, and welcome to lead a session even if you don't consider yourself an expert on the topic. It's totally okay. Who's been to a bar camp style event before? Okay, so most of us are familiar with the format. We'll create the schedule, and then there'll be 2 or 3 things happening in parallel through the rest of the day, and then tomorrow we will capture all of that energy and use it to actually make something. And we'll have demos at the end of the day tomorrow to show what we have accomplished. So for the rest of the morning, I wanted to talk about the IndieWeb building blocks, kind of set the scene for the kinds of things we talk about here. And feel free to interrupt with questions at any time, of course. And the regulars, feel free to interrupt me and if I'm glossing over something. So let's start with the basics. The foundation, the first thing that you need to be on the IndieWeb is a website and a domain name. So we've seen a nice little survey of lots of different ways that can take shape. But starting with a domain name is the key, because then you can put stuff there and you can do whatever you want on it. So I will. If you look at a cross section of people's websites, there's usually a few things they have in common. Like it usually has the person's name on it. It usually has. It sometimes has their photo on it. There's oftentimes a little about section, a bio, and then as we get into some of the more blogging and social aspects of having a website, you'll often see like a list of posts, and that could be just blog posts, like what WordPress was originally designed for, is posting blog posts. And now we're starting to see more variation of that, things like micro blog posts, where it's just little short snippets of text or photos. And then other crazy stuff like Foursquare check-ins or other experimental post types, like posting. I post my like bike rides and plane flights and stuff, and taxi rides. So like you can go crazy with it. But at the core is this idea of your homepage, and that should be something that represents you on the internet. So and then another common thing is, like I showed earlier, the list of where you can find me in other places, other websites. If we look at Tomtek's homepage, here's his list of other profiles elsewhere. So how can you do this yourself? It turns out that the most important thing is just to do it, like to have something that is functional to humans, so that another human can go to your webpage and see it and interact with it. And then secondary to that is making it useful for adding like code functionality to it to be able to interoperate and work with other people's websites. One of the first things you can do that's probably the easiest next step to make your website more so you can actually do something with the website is you can use it to log into things like our wiki. So if I go to log into the wiki, it's going to ask me what is my domain name, and then that's going to ask me, okay, prove it. Prove that you are the person who you just typed in. Prove that you have control over the website you just typed in. So you might be wondering, where are these things coming from? Well, those are the things out of my list of little icons that website knows how to interact with. So it found these because there's a little bit of markup in the HTML that says, hey, these are my other profiles. We call that rel me. So if you look at the source code of those, all the little links have rel equals me on them. So then when a website like the wiki is trying to parse and say, hey, what other profiles can I use to log this person in? It can look for the little attribute and it can use that. So that's just the beginning of turning your website into like a machine readable piece of data. So the next common thing people have on their websites is, man, I really don't post a lot of notes anymore. I mostly post check-ins. Is microblog posts, right? So we're seeing a lot of use of this now because Twitter 10 years ago introduced the idea of, well, what if you just posted stuff without writing a title first, right? And it's cool, it's fun. But we shouldn't have to use Twitter for that, right? So let's look at some examples of this. So this is what mine look like. Pretty straightforward. Like my posts just have the text in them, and then it'll say like where I was when I posted it, has the date, kind of like you would see in a blog post. But the fun part of this is that you can actually interact with these posts because of the way that the markup, HTML markup on my site. So you can see that there are people who have liked and reposted and replied to my post. That is something that we can do on the IndieWeb because of the building blocks behind this, the things that put it together. Let's see if I can find a good example here. Yeah, this will be a good one. So here's a little conversation I was having with somebody. He wrote a reply on his site, which happens to be on micro.blog. And I wanted to write back to him, but I didn't want to go to the micro.blog website to type a reply. I wanted to just use my website. So I wrote a reply on my website the way I normally write posts. And then this is what it looks like on my site. But then you can see that on micro.blog, it also has the same conversation happening. And there's a couple pieces going into making that work. And the two protocols are web mention and microformats. So web mention says, hey, I wrote this post, it's at this URL, and I link to this other thing. And it makes the other site aware of the link. And then microformats are what allows the actual comment text to be pulled from one to the other. So because the micro.blog site has microformats in it, my site's able to pull it out and be like, okay, here's the picture of the person who wrote the comment, here's the text of the comment. And because my site has microformats on it, the micro.blog site is able to say, oh, cool, I see that this is a comment with this text, and here's the person who wrote it. So that's how we're able to put these, make all these sites that are written in totally different code bases, make them all talk to each other. The way to actually turn this on for your site is like a couple different ways to do it. If you have a WordPress site, there's plugins you can just install and it'll work. If you're writing your own site, like in a static site generator, it's basically just like you add a couple of things to your HTML, and then it turns it into a machine readable page. And then to actually send the web mention is just a simple post request saying, hey, other server, here's my post. You should go figure it out. Anything else that I should mention talk about with web mention? Oh yeah. If you want to receive web mentions and you don't want to actually write all that yourself, there's a couple of options there as well. One of them I wrote called webmention.io. And essentially what you do is you copy those and put it on your website somewhere. And then anybody who's trying to send you a web mention will find that and it'll send them over to this service. And then this service has an API that will let you either pull out the web mentions via an API or like send it to some other service to convert it into HTML. and I can show you what mine look like. So I'm logging into WebEngine.io using, again, this pattern of authenticating as my domain name.
What are you doing now?
So that was logging into my site. And now my site says, hey, this app is trying to sign you in. I will sign in to that website. And now I'm logged in. So I got a little prompt on my phone that was my website trying to authenticate me. So that's how I'm using like a guest account on this computer. So I don't have any session cookies or anything on here. I'm not logged in yet. So now I'm logged into WebEngine.io, and here are recent web mentions that I've received. It turns out it's mostly Foursquare commenting on my check-ins. So here's a check-in from last night, and here's all the little comments that Foursquare sent me, or Swarm, I guess. So I can see those. I have WebEngine.io handling web mentions for me, basically, because I didn't want to write all that code again. Yeah, so that's an easy way to get started. There's another one called webengine.prokuapp.com, and same idea. Like you put that tag onto your site, and then this one, instead of providing just an API, this one actually also gives you a little HTML embed, so it'll render the comments for you. So that's pretty nice. And that's the JavaScript that'll make the comments appear on your site. This is an example of what they look like. This site is using itself to receive web mentions, which is always nice when it does that. So you can see some people who have liked this page and people who have replied to this page. Yeah. Okay, so that is get that. I just realized another good example of this would be this post. So Marty posts these podcasts, and he posts them on his website. And if you look in the description here, there's credit for the music. So he links to all these posts of mine where I posted the music, and which is cool, because if you then go click on this, here's where I posted this music that he used, and then it will list all the other posts that have linked to this page, which are all of the podcast episodes that Marty's posted. So I think that's pretty neat. So it's kind of a nice way to know, like, when people credit this song, it'll just show up in this list, right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that's the basics of web mention. Should I show a little intro to microformats to see what this looks like?
Sure. Maybe start with like what John talked about his H card and like how that's.
Yeah. So H card is a microformat that describes like a contact, like a person or a place or a business, and we end up using that a lot in the IndieWeb context for things like when you want to find someone's profile picture and their name. That's an H card. That's where it's coming from. So my H card is on my homepage, and it is actually this chunk in the top. So if you look at the source of here, my H card is this whole top section, and inside the H card, there's a couple of pieces of information. Here is my photo. It's an image tag, like regular HTML image tag, and it has this class equals u-photo. And that tells things that are consuming this that if you're looking for the photo of this H card, it is in this element here. Here's the URL of my H card. Somewhere in here there'll be, I guess here's my bio, my birthday in here. I should have my name in here somewhere too. Nope, it's not that one. So there's my H card HTML. But a very minimal H card is going to be just this. And that's enough to have it be an H card. So you just write just a link with text in it, and then say, hey, this is an H card. And then if we go and parse this, here's what it looks like when it's parsed. And then the parser is able to figure out, oh, cool, here's the name and here's the URL. Now, if you want to start expanding that with more information, there's a couple things you can do. You can do here's the name, and then you can add a photo. And now if we parse that, now you can see there's, oh, I messed up the name. Close spam. Now you can see here's the name and here's the photo property. And you can see you can just start adding things into the H card to add additional properties. But the great part about this is that you can write whatever HTML you want, and when people are consuming it, they don't see HTML, they just get this data. So it makes it really easy to deal with in code. So then other micro formats, the next one would be H entry, which is a post of any kind of thing. So let's look at this H entry. Here's my post. The H entry is this whole thing, and there's going to be a couple of things that we need in the H entry. A post has, at the very least, some sort of content. In this case, it's text content. So inside the content, there's going to be a class called e-content. And that tells parsers, here's where to find the text of this post. I also have, you can see, a date of when I publish it, and that is dt-published. And that means the parser knows how to pull out that property. So if you go and you look at the parsed version of this this page, it found the H entry, it found the location with where I was when I posted it, because I have p location property. And then here's the content of the post. There's the publish date. So you can see how you can just, with a couple of classes, you can start adding structure to this page. I also added markup for the comments and things like that, which is why that one looked really long. But again, it's the simplest version of this is just a div, and then class equals e-content, like that. And now let's give it an author. Author, and it's an H card. And now this will show up like an H entry. There's the author with an H card, and then now we've got the additional H entry content. So you can start simple, and then you can just keep adding more and more things into it. So if you look at some of the other posts like check-ins, there'll be a check-in property with a photo. There's a photo property. There's videos, audio for podcasts. But ultimately, they're all just H entry, and then people who are consuming the site to show comments and things like that can find the markup in there. It's a pretty good way to quickly add structure to this content. Following on from that, I want to talk about posting interfaces and how you actually write these posts. So like I said, I don't actually have a way to write posts in my site. My admin interface is really small. It's this. I can update my bio in here, and I can add my profile links, but and I have like a bunch of settings and check boxes and
The
stuff.
reply link on your post.
No.
One of the screens you were showing, it was a reply link on your post.
There's just that.
Oh, maybe you were showing microblog.
Yeah.
Microblog comment.
So yeah, I don't have a place to actually post things on my website. Instead, I use other apps to write posts. The main one I use is Quill, and Quill is a simple app for posting text notes. Actually, it does a few other things now too. So to start using Quill, you first have to log in. And let me go log out of my site first. So when you type in your website into Quill, Quill's going to do a couple of things. It's going to try to find a couple of things in order to both log you in and know how to post to your site. If you go to this address and type in your website, you're going to see a screen like this, which is that you're missing a couple of pieces, and it'll like walk you through setting it up. It needs to know how to sign you in, which is this. It needs to know how to get credentials to post to your site, and it needs to know where to send posts. And once it has all these three things, you can log in. So I found all those on mine, and now it's asking me to log in. Again, I have to log into my website, so I will do that. And I don't have a password for my site. I just have this thing. And there, I'm logged in. And I broke it. What did I do?
That's not my favorite.
No idea what that was about. So I'm logged in, and this is what Quill looks like. It's a text box for writing I can give the tag, IndieWebCamp, and I can choose where else I want to post this. It found my location using the browser location API, and it's going to send that along with the post. When I click post, what it's going to do is it's going to send this text and tags and a few other properties and the credentials it got when I logged in to my micropub endpoint, which is on my website, and it knows how to create the post internally and save it. So like Marty was saying, with static sites, this is where you end up with the first challenge of a static site. It's great for deploying easily, but because it's a static site, there is no dynamic code to create the post for you. In order to be able to create a post in a static site, you have to be able to write to its file storage and then rerun the generator. So there are a couple of solutions. One is which you just run this little thing elsewhere that has access to your source code and can rebuild your site, and that receives the requests from apps like Quill, and then that will regenerate your site and post, and it works fine. But yeah, it's just a trade-off where you want that work. Yeah, so when I post this, Quill posts it to my micropub endpoint. My micropub endpoint says, cool, I will write a new file to disk, add it to the index, and now it's a post on my site. And it includes the location, and there's the tag that I put in. And now it's on my homepage as well. So you heard a few of us mention things like Own Your Grammar and Own Your Swarm. They are also micropub apps. And instead of posting text, they post photos or check-ins. So ownyourgram.com. This is to get your Instagram photos over to your website. So if you use Instagram and you like using Instagram and you don't want to stop using Instagram, you can connect your Instagram to your site through this service. It basically just will watch your Instagram feed. Anytime there's a new photo, it makes a new micropub request to your site, just like you would have done by writing one manually in apps like Quill. there's not a lot to look at once you like connect this. It's basically just like connect Instagram, connect your website, and then you just are hands off and it works. But it's fun because like a whole bunch of people are doing this on their sites. A lot of people are using micro.blog, which is pretty fun. And if you click any of these, you'll see like you'll jump to their website and you can see what it looks like on their website.
What does it look like on the microblog? You said?
Here's one. Here's a micro.blog site.
So that came from Instagram.
Came from Instagram. There's this is a known website. Oh, it's a video too. Yeah, and then Own Your Swarm is the version of that, but for Foursquare check-ins. I haven't made the homepage very nice yet. It's, again, not a lot to look at inside, but it's all the settings for it. Here's my check-in here. This will like tell you what it's going to send to your site. So because it's a check-in, there's a lot more going on here than just a basic microblog post. But again, it looks very similar, right? You can see the H entry and the publish date and the content of the text that I wrote there. Here's the check-in. It's an H card because it's a venue for Capital Factory, which includes location, things like that. I also included a photo in that check-in. So then this will, again, it'll watch your Swarm account, and anytime it finds a check-in there, makes a micropub post to your site to create the post. So you can see like where this is going. Basically, if you want to be able to use, if you want to get posts onto your website, you can make a micropub endpoint, and then all of a sudden you get to use all these different apps that other people have made to be able to post content. Another really good example is the micro.blog iOS app, because it's I'm not going to write an iPhone app for writing to my own website. That would be silly. But instead, people write iOS apps for posting to micropub endpoints. And then all of a sudden anybody can use it. So I can actually use the micro.blog iOS app on my phone. And then when I hit post, it posts to my micropub endpoint using the same protocol. So I didn't have to do anything special to be able to use that iOS app. Once I got this all set up, I was just able to log in like normal, and I can just start posting to it. So other examples of apps that you can use to post, browser extensions. There's a good one for Firefox and Chrome. I think it's built for Safari too. But it's like a browser extension that will let you like favorite things that you're looking at, or write replies in line. You have a question?
Yeah, I wondered about your gram or your Swarm for the things like image assets. Are those uploaded as a copy, or is that like reference to the original, or how does that work?
I'll repeat the question for the live stream. The question is, Own Your Swarm and Own Your Gram, since they're posting images, is it posting a copy and actually like downloading that to your site, or is it just referencing it, like hot linking it? The answer is it's up to your site, basically. So what Own Your Swarm does is it sends the photo URL that Swarm gives us. So this is a URL from Swarm. When my site receives this, it says, oh, there's a photo property, but it's an external URL. I don't want to hot link it, so I'm going to download it first. So my site has code that recognizes that that's an external URL, downloads a copy, saves it to disk, and then is able to WordPress plugin does too. And then the other aspect of that is when you're using an app like Quill, where you're uploading a photo directly into this interface, there's a mechanism. It's a separate part of the micropub spec. It's a mechanism that will let this app upload the file first to your server, and then use it in a post. So then some apps like Micro.blog iOS app does this as well, where you like click the photo button. It's going to make you choose a photo, and then it first uploads it while you're writing, and then it references that photo when you post it. But it's uploading it to your own server. All right, what else am I forgetting here? Micropub. To what?
I think did what you mentioned.
Yeah. Oh, so to connect.
What are those little Twitter icons? Can you talk about that?
Sure. Okay. Well, I'll leave them to Bridgie. So when I write a post to reply to somebody, I'm writing on my website. And if the original post was on Twitter, I need a way to actually send it to Twitter, because otherwise they're not going to see it, right? So here's a post. Someone mentioned me on Twitter, wrote a post, and then I want to reply. But I don't want to go to Twitter and reply, because I don't do that. I use my website. But he's not going to see it unless Twitter knows about the post. So I basically need to copy over to Twitter. And you can see it looks like you'd expect. There's the Twitter copy of my post. And that means that I need to be able to tell anybody looking at my site, this post exists elsewhere. And here's the other places it's posted. In this case, it's posted on Twitter. I do that by just using a tiny little Twitter icon. Other people, it looks different on other people's sites, but the idea is the same. It's this post is also on other places. Sometimes it's more than one place. Like sometimes when I post like a photo or something that's not just a reply. Nope. Oh, there's one. Here is a post that I wrote that it posted on 2 other places, on Swarm and Twitter. So like you can copy your post all over the place all day long, right? There's no limit. And one of the reasons this is useful is, so I replied to this post on Twitter, and then he replied to that post. Well, what I want is on my post here, I want to show his Twitter reply as a comment, right? I don't know why that one didn't have a comment.
Didn't get the back to you.
Didn't get that one. I wonder if like Bridgie's disconnected. There's one. So here is my post, this one. He replied to it, and I also should reply on my site. So this is an interesting piece, and this is where it starts to get really useful. That post only exists on Twitter, and I don't want to have to write code to deal with Twitter. So thankfully, somebody else solved this problem for me, and it's called Bridgie. And this is essentially like a little bridge proxy service that will take posts that exist in Twitter and Facebook and a few other places and turn them into web mention posts that look like every other web mention I receive. So when my site knows how to deal with receiving web mention comments, and I've already got a whole workflow set up for handling that and showing them as comments on my posts. I don't have to do anything special to be able to get Twitter replies to show up as web mentions, because I can just use this service instead. So the way this works is you connect you connect one of your silo accounts, and then you do a couple of little, you do the little authentication dance. But the way this service works is it will see my post, and it'll be like, oh, here's the Twitter copy of it. And then it'll watch that Twitter copy to see if it gets replies. And it'll start sending replies back as web mentions. And it does it for replies and also favorites and retweets. And same on Facebook. And again, if you're in the WordPress side of things, there's plugins that you can install that will let you set all this up. So you can install the web mention plugin. I actually don't know the list of plugins you need to make this work, but I guess it'd be the web mention plugin, the semantic link max. Okay. Hopefully those are documented on the WordPress wiki page. Good. But once you install all those plugins, then you can go to Bridgie and click, okay, sign up with Twitter. It'll ask you to like confirm and link your account.
You can now do it right in WordPress. If you install the Bridgie plugin, it just links directly.
Oh, nice. Okay. And then you'll start getting all your Twitter replies sent back as comments on your WordPress posts. Cool. Any questions on that stuff so far? I think that covers all the basics.
You can always go with dramatic SWAT 0 video.
That takes a bit to set up. So, no, I don't want to show that because it's, I mean, like it's working anymore.
I'm not going to set up the video you made and delete that.
Yeah, but that's less impressive because it's not working anymore. Yeah, I guess that's the basics of the building blocks. What else are we doing? Oh, there's one more that I didn't mention, which is following people. If you want to, this is one of the aspects of the IndieWeb ecosystem that's relatively underdeveloped, I guess. But there's a couple pieces in place already. So RSS feeds and atom feeds and those kinds of feeds are pretty well established in the blogging world, but they're much less well established for microblogs, especially with funny content types. Like there's not actually a very good solution for photos, like photo posts like Instagram in atom and RSS. There's like 10 different ways of doing it and they don't actually work together very well. And if you try to follow these streams in like a traditional RSS reader, they often don't look very good. So we're trying to solve that in this ecosystem for photo posts and microblog posts, likes and reposts and replies, check-ins, all these additional content types. But at the core of that idea is the idea of you want to follow stuff I write. You should be able to follow this website to see that stuff. How can you do that? So the goal would be you should be able to just type in my website address into something that you're using to follow people and have it just work. And the one aspect of that we do have at least well established is the part of that makes fetching the content happen in real time. And that is a spec formerly known as PubSub, which we've been continuing to evolve and formalize, and it's now called WebSub, which is a little bit easier to say. But that's basically how to make feeds real time. And I'm not going to go into it because it's not actually super interesting because it doesn't actually look like anything. But it's basically when I post something, anybody who's subscribed will get immediately notified that there is new content. That's the functionality of the spec. What those things actually do with that content is totally, it's outside the scope of that spec and it's up to that consumer. But the actual real-time mechanism is pretty well established and does work well and is currently in use in a lot of different ways. But we are trying to improve the concept of following people and building interfaces that understand posts that are not just blog posts and understand microblog posts and photos and other these more complex content types. There's a pretty good start to a IndieWeb reader, a reader that is natively understands these types. It was brainstormed and prototyped at IndieWeb Summit this summer in Portland. It is called Two Together, and let's see if I can get that right. It starts by asking you to sign in. Let's see if this works. Yeah, I will log in. Cool. So I'm logged in, and uh-oh. There it goes. Here's my people I'm following in the IndieWeb community. Here's Chris Aldrich, just posted an hour ago. Found the live stream. Hi, Chris, if you're still watching. There's my check-in from earlier. There's check-in with a photo. Here's a little blog post. There's context post. So it's kind of neat, right? Because I'm following all these people from their own websites, and it's actually just doing this all by parsing their own websites. There's no third-party service in the middle. There's no, it's not going through Twitter. It's not using proxy services. Yeah, I can click out and I can see the post on context site. There's my check-in from earlier. So yeah, I think that it's a pretty good prototype to this idea. This also has other views of the content. Like here's a photo grid view. If what you're following is mostly blog posts, then it will show you in this format. If I go to my podcast one, then here's all the podcasts that I'm following. Mostly Manton, looks like. Let's see if there's any events in here. No events on this one yet, but yeah, so it's a start, but there's a lot of good foundation behind this. The way this works is this is a totally client-side app. This app doesn't actually run its own server, so it's just a JavaScript app. Yeah. When I signed in, my site says, "Hey, I'm using this endpoint, like a micropub endpoint, but for following. I'm using this endpoint, and here's where readers can pull all the data from." So all the content in here actually lives in a place that I chose and that I control, and I can use this reader to just see it. So that's a pretty new development that we're working on. But I'm pretty happy with what we've done so far with it. This is what it looks like. This is the actual service that does the following and the parsing of feeds. It doesn't actually render any post itself. I've tried to just make it a API, but I can go in here and I can say, here's all the feeds I'm following. I can add a new page to it, and then this is the thing that's actually doing like fetching web pages and parsing out posts and understanding how to find author photos and understanding what a check-in looks like. And then this app is just a client-side app that is just hitting the API to render things. But it means that as soon as somebody writes an iOS version of this, I can just log into that iOS app and I'll have all the same content. It's not like using a feed reader where you're putting data into the feed reader and it's maintaining your subscriptions. It's separating the view from the data. So I can actually switch between this nice desktop app and an iOS app and be browsing the same data. Oh, the other really important difference between this and traditional feed readers is because this is integrated with my website, like it's all authenticated and it's linked to that, I can actually interact with these posts. So if I click this button to post a like, nice confirmation, but yeah, I just clicked the little thumbs up button. I like that post, but where did that go? It actually went to my website because I had to log into this client-side app. And if I go look at my my list of things I've liked, there it is. That was posted just now using that reader app. So it means that I can just.
How do they get location?
My website does that. My website always knows where I am, and that's what the little clock is up at the top. It's the local time wherever I am as I move around from different time zones. It's always accurate. That's my phone battery.
What's the pencil for?
That's for editing posts. And it says, right now I'm in Austin where it is 46 and partly cloudy. The weather, my phone's battery level is 83% and it is unplugged. And then this is my Chrome on my laptop. Those are all the tabs I have open. Each row is a window, and then those are the tabs within the window. I apparently have too many tabs open. And then the only thing that, obviously, I don't want to like show what URLs I have open for many reasons, but it does show the most common domain name that is open. So it's kind of fun to watch that change. Like if I'm working on a project, it'll be like, your most common domain is github.com with 12 windows open.
Can I ask a practical use case question?
Yeah.
Who wants to know what your cell phone battery is at?
Who wants to know what my cell phone battery is at?
No, the other ones I see.
So if you send me a message and you're wondering why you haven't gotten a reply, you can go to my website, and if my cell phone says it has 0% battery, that's why. I'm not ignoring you.
You're just out of communication.
That is a practical reason for sharing my cell phone battery life. Yeah, cool. Okay, so that was a huge brain dump, but hopefully that's gives you an idea of the state of things right now, and where we're trying to get to, where our weak spots are right now, what we have working well, what still needs work. But yeah, it's pretty exciting. I think according to our schedule, we have session scheduling next.
Can you do a 5-minute intro to building blocks in the community? Like the website versus chat?
Oh, we should have done that at the beginning.
Yeah, we should have.
Yes. Community resources. The community also has its own IndieWeb presence. It is a website. It is IndieWeb.org. That is where everything starts for this community. So if you don't remember anything else, remember this website because it at least links to everything else. But we have a couple of important pieces here. This is a wiki, first of all, which means it is available for anybody to edit. So if you ever see anything wrong, feel free to edit it. If you try to log in, it will ask you to log in by authenticating against your website. And if you don't have that set up yet, it has instructions to walk you through doing it. It's pretty simple. Basically, the minimum is to like put a link on your website to a Twitter or GitHub account, and then make sure those link back, and then you can log in. In addition to the website, so the website has a list of like all the community events, including this one, which is important to know because the schedule for today and tomorrow is posted on the events page on the wiki, along with other information. We also have a chat, which is a pretty core part of the community as well. We are a worldwide year-round 24/7 community. There is almost always somebody online at any given point of the day at this point. And there's a couple different ways to join this chat. It exists in IRC on Freenode. If you are familiar with IRC, that's probably the easiest way to get into it. If you're not familiar with IRC, that's fine, and don't worry about it, because you can also join it from Slack, or you can just open up the web page. So if you go to chat.indieweb.org, here is the chat. And when we do events like this, we try to take notes about what's happening and what the speakers are saying. So that's going to pop up in a second. Yeah, so people on Slack are connected. Some of these people are on IRC. I think I'm actually logged in here. It might take a minute to connect. But yeah, you can join from either any of these three methods, and they're all just put into the same place. There's me, right from the web chat. Wiki, chat, Etherpad. For this event, we're big on documentation, in case you haven't noticed that. So for this event, we like to take notes on all the sessions that are about to happen. The way we do that is on a collaborative note-taking application. It is we will, as we create the schedule, we'll actually fill in these holes with the names of the sessions, and there will also be links here to the Etherpad for each one. But I can show you what a completed schedule looks like. It'll look like this once we are done. And there'll just be a link here to jump and click to the Etherpad. That will end up looking like etherpad.indieweb.org/something, which is the name of the session. And then anybody who is at that URL is just typing together. Yeah, so as you're in a session, this is the template for a new one. Somebody in each session at least one person should jump into Etherpad and take notes. Put the session name, put the list of people and websites of who's there at the session, and then just take notes about whatever you're talking about. It's great to have documentation on the discussions. It makes sure that we can actually learn and progress as a community instead of just having the discussions be ephemeral. Later we'll go through and copy all these back to the wiki, but that happens afterwards. We will try to, we will try to live stream at least this room, possibly another room, because there are remote people who would like to participate as well. Some people who can't make it. The other thing that I should mention that the chat can do is talk to the wiki. So as you're in the chat, if you see people talking about something you understand, you can ask things like, what is a photo? And then the bot will answer, a photo is blah, 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 and it'll link out to the wiki page for it. If you say, what is something we don't have a page for yet? What is it? Oh, there's already a bot. What? Blue Star. Blue Star. The bot will say, we don't have a page for Blue Star yet. Would you like to create it? And then you can just answer, or somebody else can answer. Blue Star is a donut shop in Portland, Oregon. And you can just type that, and then the bot will create the page. And there's the page. Now it's on the wiki. So that's a quick way to find information without having to like use the website and browse and collect knowledge. And then of course we like to go and fill out this with more information and add links to things and see. So Tomtek just added that.
But how did I add it?
How did he add that? He did it through IRC. Said the name of the wiki page and then the two little arrows, and then added another page name to that text. So you can just, if you like want to add a link to an article, like if you have an example of, here's what I'll do. I'll find my donut box picture, and then I can just say Blue Star and paste a link to that. And now that's on the page as well. So it's a really quick way to add stuff and interact with the wiki. I think that covers the community resources.
Well, what are the different channels for it?
Oh yeah, we have a bunch of different channels in chat. The main channel is just called IndieWeb. On Freenode, it's IndieWeb. On Slack, it's IndieWeb. And that's a general channel for the community. We try to keep that focused on user level features and describing concepts at the level of where people interact with the data, not specs. If you are talking about specs and formats and code, there's a dev channel. And on IRC, it's IndieWeb-dev. And that's also where wiki edits end up. But that is the channel for asking questions about formats and specs and code questions. And we try to keep all that stuff out of the main channel just to keep the conversation easier to follow in the main channel. Anytime you're referring to anything by an acronym, it probably belongs in dev. There's also a WordPress channel, and that is for all WordPress specific questions. That makes it easier for people who use WordPress to find the WordPress discussions, to answer questions, as well as avoids taking over the other channels with WordPress conversations. There's a meta channel, and that is for the meta channel is for talking about the event and talking about the community. So we normally use this for like organizing the event or asking about like where should this go on the wiki, that kind of stuff, where it's not about the actual technology. There's also a couple other channels for specific projects. Bridgie has its own channel. Known, the CMS has its own channel, and Microformats, which is if you're talking about specifically microformats and have questions about that, that is a channel as well.
Don't forget chat.
Oh yeah, the one that's not on the website is the off-topic and not publicly logged channel called IndieWeb-chat. It does exist in Slack. It doesn't exist on the website because it's supposed to be not publicly logged. But that's for off-topic discussion. So like you'll see conversations in there about like we're going to dinner or just totally random stuff. It is not publicly logged, so you don't have to worry about having all of your conversations in there archived forever. Searching the chat, that is also a thing you can do to find the last time somebody talked about Micropub, and then we'll show oh, that was all today. Yeah. But it's a good way to find old discussions about stuff. Yeah, so that brings us to session scheduling, I think. We also have a community code of conduct. It is pretty straightforward. It's basically be respectful of everybody. And it's linked from the event page, so feel free to give it a read, but it is pretty straightforward and pretty basic. And if you ever encounter a problem over this weekend, feel free to approach any of the organizers, myself, Contact, Manton, Marty, and we will be happy to address the situation. Thankfully, we haven't had much of a problem in the past. I'm hoping that continues to be true. So, session proposals. We have, it's 11:30 now. We'll have a lunch break at noon with a brief group photo before we go to lunch, and then 45-minute sessions the rest of the day, starting at 1, which gives us 5 slots. And we have this room and the room next to this, is that correct?
Number 5.
Yeah, Johnny 5. It's just
Johnny 5.
Johnny 5. So two rooms, 5 slots. The way the sessions work is anything you want to talk about, feel free to propose a session. Creating a session proposal involves finding a little post-it, writing down session name, your name, and a hashtag, which we use for the URL for the Etherpad and the wiki page. And then we'll do a quick, come up here and introduce the session topic you want to talk about. You do not have to be an expert on something to propose a session about it. This is not meant to be a training. This is a discussion. If people want to learn something and you're willing to lead the discussion about that, feel free to propose a session about it, and it's totally fine to have somebody else be the one that actually knows more about the topic. A good place to start is if you know kind of a thing that you might want to do on your website for tomorrow as we're creating stuff, propose a session about something about that to get the discussion going. And then, tomorrow the goal is we start in the morning and jump into actually building stuff and working on stuff. We'll do a quick intros to say what we're all going to be working on. And the goal is to actually get something completed on your website tomorrow to demo at the end. Usually I don't actually know what I'm going to be doing over the weekend until the end of today, because the discussions that happen usually end up sparking something interesting where I'm like, oh, that sounds like a thing I want to do. But it'll usually be a pretty small goal. It's only a day. It's not like it's a whole week. So it'll be, if you don't have a website yet, getting a domain name and getting some content on that is a fantastic goal. It does not have to be having a fully functional commenting system. It can just be your homepage with your name and using it to sign into the wiki, for example. Creating stuff tomorrow does not have to be writing code. Creating can involve writing documentation, which is always a good thing to have more documentation. That could be how-to guides or just a blog post about a design concept. It can be doing some sort of design thing. I mentioned the last thing I did on my website was I changed the way the icons look on the bottom. That would count for an IndieWeb hack day, totally. Turns out a lot of things go into tiny decisions like that. You think it's small at first, and then you realize, oh my God, it's gonna take me all day. So it's okay to pick something that seems small at first. And if you do write code, you can absolutely code something up tomorrow. I guess with that, let's start proposing some sessions. It looks like Contact is going to start us off.
So one thing that we try to focus on the IndieWeb community more is stuff that you'll actually use on your website. or to show your friends, or stuff that shows up in the interact. Features, user interface, user experience. But to implement those, we often find that we have to go under the covers and talk about or figure out some of the plumbing that makes this stuff work. So the building blocks that you're going to talk about, like micro formats, like web mention, things like that too. So what we started to do, which seems to have worked for folks, is to split those by color. Just to clearly indicate, like, hey, I'm working on displays on my site. Like, I want to add a feature to my payment page that can take a amount, for example. That would be the experience feature. But if I want to say, I want to work on web mention support in my server backend or some other thing like that, I would do that. And I just kind of summarize those to your features versus plumbing with some examples. If what you're working on doesn't fit to either one of those, what's missing? Like even stuff just like documentation, stuff on the website, it's still, we consider that a feature. Like it's user visible. So that still counts. It's user experience. Any questions? And no topic too large or too small. Only the time slots are fixed. So you have to decide how to make them list.
Take a few minutes to stretch our legs and we good.
Yeah, or if anyone has any ideas or questions about ideas, you can ask anyone of those organizers about, you're not sure, like, should I propose this? Help you define it, that's one too.
I'll also help as a senior.
Cool. Yeah, but I think I remember you saying you want to do at least one session on WordPress. So
When I said people seem to want one, but I proposed last year, so I wasn't going to do it. So
want to kick it off? Raise your hand.
I would volunteer to be in it. But I don't want to pick that for a subtopic.
So we have 2 rows, and then we have a third row or no?
We have other straight quick this. It used to be like a lounge area, but I thought we could hang out. So, yeah. We should probably do 2 rooms, but if we need a third space, there's like a probably. Well, but I'll leave it check.
So if you want to pick some other random space, you can use the third blank column. If you write out your sticky where you want to do it. The key thing, on your sticky note, and I'm going to talk about this, put your name and then put a hashtag for the session as well. And we'll use the hashtag to create the feature pad to create the set. So all the stuff that goes Thanks for being our example.
There's go redash within there. So you have to also get back there. Oh, okay.
I'm just interested in how the pieces of the WordPress ecosystem fit together related to IndieWeb. Definitely dabbled with it, and I've definitely run into some problems. And been fortunate that David's helped me on the IRC panel, but I'm still a little bit clueless. So it's got an introductory session. Anybody's interested.
I want to do a session on payments, like what's I talked about, but also beyond that, like pledges and donations. I don't know if people follow what's going on with Patreon and how they recently changed like the fee structures and it's top everyone, both people, patrons and creators, and at least like a brainstorming session to, if you could kind of do Patreon using your own website, how would that work? Could you cut out the middleman and just have,
What if I said this next to you?
or at least cut out one middleman and have people that are, you know, sponsor your work or your art or your creative work be able to pledge directly on your website? Here? I'll do it here.
I want to, since Nathan's here, I want this opportunity to, I'm going to sign into the session. Talk about microhub extensions. Right now, microhub is the spec that we use to create posts, and it's very easy to just like fire off posts. But I want it to be also useful for more of the workflow, post lifecycle of posts. So that means editing and retrieving lists of your existing posts and draft posts, and maybe like, you know, when you're in WordPress and it shows you like a list of categories, that kind of thing, like fleshing out the spec field that is to be used in more of the post lifecycle. And I know this is working on an iOS app and provides a microhub endpoint, and you know, other people's microhub endpoints is good implementation experience that dropped out. So that would be super easy to use on my top. Needs to be orange. So yeah, I will just make.
I'd like somebody who knows more about web engines to explain some of the more technological kind of struggle getting it working on the website.
I'm happy to do that, so don't put it next to that microphone one. You can put it maybe before. Earlier, I think it's good. Yeah.
I don't know if anybody will want to talk about this, so we'll call this like a maybe it'll happen. But I want to talk about audio. I think it's a fairly interesting thing. I've seen lots of cool ways to like post audio on the web and make it interactive and accessible to people as well. So doing captioning, and I played with some of the tech, but I'm kind of more interested in having a discussion about like what can we do with audio on the web as just like a format with our own sites. So I'll put it across the web pages unless somebody wants to cross it.
I have one. This is the first question I ever asked in the community, and I still don't know an answer. What is it? So it is, what is the difference between a like, a favorite, and a bookmark?
And a bookmark?
Yes. And I don't know, I want to go to that, so I guess I'll steal the last unoccupied slot here. So it's like, favorite, bookmark, what? I'm in down the list.
And I'll include any other thing where you can't figure out what the difference is between two things people seem to be posting.
So post types.
Yeah.
I'll write it.
That's a good one. Those kind of.
The only reason that I call it times is that you want to start the thing.
It's a good question. Would you consider that plumbing or UI?
I don't know, is that plumbing or UI?
That's more UI.
Depends on the context of the discussion. Like, do you want it to be a plumbing song?
Yeah.
I want to discuss usage, not necessarily.
That sounds like a yellow one.
Yeah, okay, I will read. I will read.
I like that. Well, actually, with the post-it color. Well said.
There, now it's yellow. I think yellow is going over here. But it doesn't make a difference. Just a lot. Come on, too fast, no waiting. No.
Who was it that said they had a static site set up? Or they wanted to?
Can I have one on?
I'm wondering, I'm trying to like make a session happier. If there would be, if folks that have a static site set up would be interested in here's how you can set up a new website statically, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like intro session that like anyone here who doesn't have a site or wants a second site could hopefully come out with one.
Something like static site, lightning start.
Yeah.
Something quicker than quick.
Do you want to do one?
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that.
Maybe opposite the micropub extensions, because I feel like,
Are you gonna
Okay.
Okay. I could do it later or opposite of the post kinds. If anybody's interested.
I feel like you have to copyright post cons.
Maybe.
No,
Sorry, what?
Used it for one reason.
Go ahead.
Addressing the discussion, best practices or concepts for decentralized aggregation of 750.
Nice.
Like to connect and show people content that they don't expect, that do not silent. So there's something that I'm doing. I don't know, maybe even we can talk about go back into the past and kind of memories there. Because I really do have some ideas.
Cool. Is there a hashtag you have for that? Yes. Hashtag and name.
It's really just
It's
a trick so we can make sure that the name gets an URL. Yeah, it can resolve it.
Perfect. Nice.
So right now we are 3 and 3, even the strict split between features and plumbing. But we have another plumbing coming, so we need another features monitor. Parity rates. We could have a split ticket, half feature, half parity, and half plumbing.
Yeah, so if anybody who wants to talk static site plumbing, we can do a quick thing. Bill, if I had to make it up on the spot, I would say we'll do something like GitHub pages. Like we'll put a site on GitHub and talk about how to like format things for that using Jekyll, and maybe get you set up with like Cloudflare to do SSL, so you get like your own domain. So like pull your domain at it, and then you can get like a real HTTPS URL. And set that up so you can log into the wiki with it. So like just a real quick like, hello world, this is me, and get you logged into the wiki.
I still say we need another yellow.
Oh, boy. Yeah. I don't think track
Well, let's see here.
down.
How if we. Oh, no, that doesn't work. So, audio there. Well, the question is, are you going to Oh, yeah, if you move this down here, then Marty. Oh, sorry, I'm thinking here. Is there overlap between these two?
Which two?
Payments and static site.
I kind of want to go to both.
Okay, so, let's see here.
Because like the payment stuff I have set up is a static page.
And we,
Just say it. Maybe have that one.
Like that?
Yeah. I think it's plumbing because it's like you have to go watching.
Oh, no, it's actually there.
Like, are you gonna host it? And format these
Very
files?
true.
Yeah. And like,
Yeah.
those things
One
are cool.
of those opposite words.
Yeah, we probably should just start that off, especially given that we're gonna be doing micro formats in that.
Yeah.
Contact
page.
This is gonna be, it's like, I keep having this desire to make like a.
Marty has not
Yes.
figured out how to split this up.
No.
That would work perfectly.
Should I do a session on that?
So that would work perfectly for me, because one of them, I'm more interested in audio than static site generation, but it would work well for Marty, because he can't do this. So what is the opposite of static site generation that might work? We're going
What is the opposite? Right.
Well, we'll keep moving there.
I know, just bring up your track thing, but.
Yeah. Marty adjacent.
Do you want to go next with Marty or no?
No, I'm okay not doing weapons.
What if I move this up here? Because that puts two things I'm going to do. And
I want to go there.
you want to go to that also? This is gonna be a problem.
Well, it's hard.
Where, no matter what, we have to find a configuration that makes as many people happy as possible. If that is humanly possible, but we have this big gap here, so. That's okay. Like, no, I'm saying we have this big gap to work with. Try to figure out how to make everything happen.
We could just move the other two down, like we could.
But what can go out in payments?
It doesn't have to be anything.
I was looking to get you, because you have the most advanced payment thing, so. I like you.
So you're going to weapon?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so, let's see, so in the, just speaking the organization. So, you know, so far we have this travel with two things next to each other. Move weapons back down next to audio. Next to audio? I'll be a little bit.
Yeah, I put payments after static site, so I figure, once you get a static home page up, you can get a static payment page up, right?
First things first, get paid.
The first thing is, who are you, and like, how can I pay you?
Welcome to the capitalist indie web.
We basically need either two more sessions or not.
Yeah, you don't have to fill the whole grid.
Right, I was thinking we could, I mean, if everybody is.
Well, if this merges into one session, maybe you want to do it. I'm not sure how many people want to go to this. How many people want to go to these two at one? Maybe we should put the two biggest sessions with nothing next to it.
Right, so yeah, it's fine to have them.
Let's do this scientifically. Show of hands, let's go down the list. Show of hands, who wants to attend static site,
Quick start.
Quick start, yeah. Quick start. Okay, somebody,
It's like, yeah, it's like 5.
Okay, that's evenly split.
Maybe those one after the other.
Well, there was a lot of overlap.
You guys want to go home then?
Yeah, that's maybe.
Well, they're both kind of intro, but you can do them one after the other.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's probably more intro than that. Well, you have to have this, like, your site, your domain.
There. So far, so good. Let's move down.
Is there any way to?
Show of hands, who wants to do payments? We have, okay. Who wants to do micropub? What? Okay, there seems to be overlap there, so these probably should be next.
Was there an overlap between, there was.
So, let's go with, who wants to go to like, favorite, bookmark, what, different post types? And who wants to go, I really have to. Decentralized aggregation. Decentralized aggregation and serendipity. We're going to audio. Audio seems to have a smaller.
Kind of, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, if it's really small, we can drop it, and that makes things easier.
Or we can, I'd like to talk about it, we can take it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Cool. So informal.
Okay.
Put it at, put it at the beer session.
We're gonna talk about audio over. Okay. So that means, let's see here. Does that work for everybody, or do we need to? Is this and this?
Oh, no.
Was there really a reading?
Irony.
A lot of micropub aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I would really like to go to the micropub.
Oh, right. But I'll read the notes afterwards.
How about this? I will tell you all about it.
Micropub versus WordPress.
I want to go. And I would feel bad not going to WordPress because it's very popular.
So this is the intro to web mentions session?
Yeah.
Right?
So I don't know if this fits in what I mentioned. So I
Well,
don't
does intro to web mentions overlap with WordPress?
Or applies in general.
In theory, anybody who has intro to WordPress has web mentions.
That's true.
Web mention ones, I think that will definitely actually do it.
Is there overlap between, is there anybody who wants to go to both WordPress and web mentions? Okay, we just found an overlap here. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. We might be able to get audio back on here.
So let's put it back on there.
So,
I think we're good.
how does this look to everyone?
Audio probably shouldn't run unopposed.
Yeah.
Let's start a podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we can come up with our idea later. It's okay.
There. Okay. Now it's not unopposed. Okay, last call, any amendments?
So,
I don't know if it's a full session, but it's something that, I was talking about whether it applies in general to the web mentions.
I think that's this.
Yeah, maybe it's in there.
These are all different types of replies.
Yeah, that was basically how you categorize all this stuff. When there are different terms and there are subtleties in it. So, so all in favor of closing?
Standing more aside.
Yes, so all in favor of closing the schedule? Aye, all opposed?
as you're looking at the schedule, do you see something at every slot that you want to go to? That's the first question to answer. And the second question is, do you think aren't like totally torn between doing something at the same time? But most importantly, do you see something at every slot that you do want to go to? Then we make sure nobody is forward for. And if that is not,
Yes.
we'll probably have it in almost.
Can you clarify just a little bit about what the audio section is? Is that like WebRTC type things or?
No, we probably won't get into like deep tech stuff. I have some examples in mind of like people that are posting podcasts in interesting ways and doing fun stuff with audio on the web. And I would like to, if you want, like check those out, talk about them, and talk about like other ideas that people are having or things that they're doing with audio on the web.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Okay. That took about the right amount of time. So I think this is our schedule. That means it is now officially the lunch break.
Photo.
Photo op first, lunch photo, and lunch is
on our own, so I thought we could maybe just, we can talk about where people want to go, and split up, and tacos in place.
there's also still some tacos.
Yeah, as long as I'm around.
Yeah, if you literally just want to like eat more breakfast tacos and hack, you can do that during lunch.
Yeah, I think that might be my plan.
Right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I might do that because I need to get ready to make sure I'm not full of crap with this static site.
But yeah, first let's do photo. Let's find a place with some better light in this room, maybe out in the hallway there. Room's not close, so we're not in front of the
Stand in front of the horrible
Did anybody have like a real camera?
Real camera.
Oh, nice.
Sweet.
I'm sorry, I left it behind, but there's.
Just out at the door.
Hey, welcome. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I don't have that.
Welcome.
Join us.
It doesn't have to pick it. Very important.
We need documentation that you were here.
Oh, yeah. Shut down the screen.
Show games on.
I didn't have, I'm looking for actually.
I don't have any.
All right. Thanks everyone for watching at home. This concludes the morning streaming of IndieWebCamp Austin. Tune in at 1 p.m. for some sessions.
This concludes our broadcast.
I love Marty radio voice.